Well, good morning. Good morning. Thanks everybody for being patient there for a moment. We were actually having a little bit of technical difficulties, and here we are now. So I know a couple people are going to be rolling in. Hopefully a couple people didn't bounce out thinking that we weren't going to be rolling today because it is Christmas week. So first and foremost, as always, want to acknowledge everybody that's working, that's on here today. Like I said, looks like we got a lot of people starting to roll in now. So thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. And as always, we are going to bring it. And I want to, like I just said, wish everybody a Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and really just acknowledge the fact that you guys are here this week and doing what you can to level up your real estate game and make sure that we, hit the ground running in 2026. So that's going to be kind of what I'm going to be talking about today is what are some of the frameworks in which that we can do right now to prime the pump. So, let me give a little bit of context on this because I think it'll just kind of help lay the groundwork, a little bit today too. And I don't expect as much of a big group today. So do me a favor. If there's something I go over with today and you want me to assist you in being a little bit more surgical, raise your hand and we can always come back to that here in just a moment. So again, getting back to what I want to talk about and go over with you guys today is ultimately how can you build your process? How can you build your system so that you can consistently prime the pump with seller leads? What does that look like? How do we use the Zoodealio? What are certain things that we can do in the seller score? Now, I know a lot of you that are on here, whether I've had personal conversations with you, I'd imagine you've seen me talk about these things and little nuances before. So I'm going to show you a framework today, actually something that I created for Seller Source, which is our lead program. But it's going to fit perfectly for this, right? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how the lead gets into your lead funnel. Then from there, what is the process that we pull them down that particular funnel? So I want to introduce you guys to, top of funnel action. Again, this may be a little bit of a refresher for some of us, but if it's new to you, then great. So part of what we want to build is awareness around our value proposition and then build interest. Okay. So now before I go off on that and, kind of talking about people pulling homeowners down the funnel, I do want to talk about this overwhelming, huge data point. And it is approximately 80% of all transactions. It's actually just a little underneath, are done by like repeat or referral, right? So that means that your past clients, people that you maybe haven't done a transaction, you get referred to them, right? Or your specific sphere of influence. We all know that that's a huge one, right? Repeat, referral, people that you know from your particular network, right? So that SOI, your sphere of influence. Now, the reason why I want to talk about that, first of all, and then talk about really, that other 20% of people that we maybe don't know as so much, where we're going to build awareness, build interest, is because candidly, guys, this applies for people that you know. This applies for people that you don't know. And I think that that's actually one of the areas that we miss is we just assume that people are going to give us the business because I sold them a house 4 years ago. I assume that they're going to give me the business because it's my brother, right? The reality of it is we live very much so in a competitive world. We all know that. We've all had that deal. I promise you, if you've been in the real estate game long enough, you've all had that client that you thought that they were locked in for life, and then you found out that they did a transaction and you weren't the agent that they worked with, right? And that always, stings. And as I kind of pull the audience in here, I know Bill Burns at the top of my list. Bill, I know, has been in the game a long time. So, maybe Bill is better than I am and has never had that happen. But I would imagine, again, if somebody's been in the game long enough, they're going to realize or have had that experience where a client has, you thought you had them locked down and you find out that they did a transaction with another agent. And it's always frustrating when that happens. Do me a favor, just so I can pull the audience here, give me a thumbs up if you've ever had that experience to where somebody did a transaction, you weren't the agent, and it certainly bummed you out that you missed out on that opportunity. All right, good. Okay, thanks guys. So as we cruise along here, I want to, again, just kind of take a look at what are we doing to be able to, ultimately pull people down the funnel. So we're going to talk today a little bit about focusing on our contact list of people that we know, people that we've had conversations with, right? Doesn't necessarily mean that we've done a transaction with them, but ultimately where we have engaged with them, right? We've had that opportunity to connect with them. So what I want to do real quick is I'm going to pull up basically a flow chart essentially, right? To where you guys will be able to see what I'm talking about here, and you can kind of, we'll connect and we're going to go through this. Like I said, now this is something that where I had used or I have used in seller sources, we're going over the leads, right? Now, what I want to talk about again, though, is this first part, right, is the cash offer request, because part of one of the things that I do see underutilized is the home report, right, which is where all of this, a lot of the heavy lifting happens. We all know that when we are talking to people that are our past clients, or even just nurturing business, right, it's how are we staying in front of them? How consistent am I touching them, right? Am I touching them multiple different ways? Am I posting things inside of social media? Am I running an email campaign? Am I running mailers? Am I calling them? Are they coming to my social events, right? Like exactly what am I doing to nurture my database and to nurture my contact list, right? Again, because like I said, 80% of the people that we do or transactions that we do are going to come from that source. Not to mention that other 20%, why that's so important is, remember, because of everything that is a referral, well, getting more people into that 20%, right? That's where we have to really start looking at the frameworks, is what is the customer lifetime value, right? So meaning, when I do a deal with this client, am I going to do multiple deals with them? Will they refer me multiple times, et cetera, right? All things that we certainly know. Okay, so what I want to do on this right here is just kind of run through this so we're really clear on what happens. So we're going to take a look at this, right? So the request is going to happen, the initiation is going to happen. Now, I do want to do a little bit of a segue here on this, because I think that this is important. So now you have a couple of different buckets that I want to talk about real quick. So first of all, you have somebody that is the 5% of the homeowner population that they are looking to sell their house, right? And they're in that selling cycle, right? 5% is, as we all know, 5% turnover rate, et cetera, nationally, right? So once we have those people that are in that decision-making cycle of, hey, I'm considering selling my house, right? They're going to be your higher intent leads, the ones that we want to really ultimately focus on. But you also have the 95% of people that they're going to be, they're in that live cycle, they're investigating, right? They're someday going to come over in the 5%. And the whole goal is to make sure that we manage those relationships so that when they do transact, they're choosing us. Okay, so what the home report is going to help you solve is make sure that we're staying top of mind by serving up not only their home value, their home equity, et cetera, right? All of the things that are in the home report, what they could rent their house for, all things that are usually kind of pulling them down the funnel. Now, as an FYI, we are releasing actually a blog inside of that we have some really cool plans with that, where it'll be, potentially serving up some hyper-local information on their property as well. So it'll be really aiding in that live cycle, to where it's information in the community, what's going on, right? Some really cool stuff to help them engage and help you ultimately stay top of mind. Now, keep in mind, the home report, of course, is all geared around you. You are the center of the contact. Now, what is so important about this, right, is when that request or when that action happens, right, is we get the request inside of the offers team, right? They request the offer. Now, here are the frameworks, right? These are the actions that the homeowner is going to take and things that they're going to do, and how it goes back and forth between the platform and understanding the process. So why I wanted to leave you guys with this today from our end is really understanding what happens on each stage of the operation, from the request to it being initiated in the underwriting team, to the review, to, hey, you agree with the evaluation, you don't agree with the evaluation, what do you do? How do you send in comps? What do we do to make sure that we get this done in the inspection? What happens during the inspection? What happens in the inspection if they don't agree with the inspection, right? What are all of those particular frameworks setting you guys up for success to ultimately close more deals, right? That's what this environment is about. Okay, so number one, the homeowner must engage, right? So let me give you a pro tip right out of the gate. Number one, again, let's talk about the biggest pool, the 95%. Right, so you have somebody on the home report and they are showing activity, right? They've engaged in the home report, they've clicked, they've looked at the cash offer options, and again, since Bill was at the top of my list here a second ago, Bill, I'll be you. I hope you don't mind. So let's say I'm Bill, I call my client, and it's maybe we'll take it from a don't know and somebody I know, right? So somebody I don't know, I'm going to call that particular homeowner, and I'm going to say, hey, this is Bill at ABC Real Estate. Hey, just wanted to give you a quick call about your house on 1234 Main Street. Hey, the reason for the call is I see that you were checking out not only your home value, the equity on your home, but also some different cash offer options. We haven't had a chance to meet yet, but you've actually been checking out the home report of mine that I've been sending you the last 6 months. And I see that recently you were checking out the different cash offer options, totally complimentary. And I just wanted to reach out, in light of service, and see if you had any questions on how those work. And 99% of the time, we are going to get the no thanks, I'm just looking, right? We all know the retail thing, right? No, I'm good, I'm just looking, right? Well, that's where it's up to us to start, understanding how we're going to work that discovery, right? We want to take them from a not met to a met, be completely customer service, not be pushy, be discovery, and really ultimately just build a relationship. And that's where you're going to say, they're going to say, no, I was just checking it out, or no, I'm not that interested. I was just curious how they work. And that's where you're literally going to just, ultimately be able to come in and say, hey, no problem. Hey, we get that most of the time. However, I wanted to let you know a couple of things about this. Number one, you could actually calculate your equity, and there's an AI in the back end that, a site buddy, if you will, that will educate you on, how effective it would be to make that 13th payment, when you should do it, if you're interested in things like that. Another thing that's in there that I just wanted to inform you about is you could actually check out your house and see what you could Airbnb it for. So if you ever had that curiosity to know what you could, rent out your house on short-term rental or even long-term rental. These are just some really cool things that are inside there. But the last thing I'll leave you with before I let you go is one of the really unique things that we have inside there that I want to let you know about is you could actually get a cash offer, remodel your house, then the buyer resells it, and you get all of that additional profit that rehab could make make for your property. Pretty cool stuff, right? And then, from there, they will potentially say, oh, yeah, that sounds interesting. Yeah, okay, well, we're not really in the market for that right now, but thanks for letting me know. I appreciate it. Yeah, hey, no problem. Thanks so much for chatting with me. I figured, I wanted to introduce myself. Again, this home report gets sent to you monthly, I'm sure as you know, and, completely complimentary. Feel free to engage with it. And then if you ever have any questions or any way that we could be of service, just let us know. We'll be reaching out and stay in touch. Sound fair enough? Sounds fair enough. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Right? Completely service, not too relational, etc. Right? But now what I may do in follow-up calls is where I'm going to ask them, questions like, hey, tell me real quick about your home. When you guys actually bought this house, what was it that drew you into this particular house? Or are you guys considering, moving up in your house? Or, I'm just curious. I got a couple of buyers that are hunting inside of this area, and we're really looking for some new inventory, and your house looks like it might fit them pretty well. Right? So it's like those type of that type of opportunity to be able to create a conversation with them. Okay, so that's a not met, right? Where the whole thing is that I wanted everybody to get from that framework that I just gave you is conversation starting. Okay, now on this is where sometimes let's be real, right? Answer rates today are 15%, right? So as an FYI, I am not going to call them from my CRM. I'm going to call them from my cell phone. I'm going to finger dial them. I am not going to power dial these kinds of leads, right? I have to break into their ecosystem. Now, if I have an ISA that's calling these kinds of leads, your answer rates are going to be probably sub 10%, just as an FYI, right? The call carriers have done a good job, if you will. And again, if I do any type of auto dialing, et cetera, which again, I'm here to tell you, our call center does do a lot of those things. And again, you just have to be willing to play a big game and have a huge data set. If that's a lane that you are taking, it absolutely works. But just as an FYI, your answer rates are going to be far less, and knowing how to overcome your objections in those types of scenarios, I highly recommend that it's something that you do every day, so your saw is super sharp in that arena. Okay, so again, call them directly from your phone, text them directly from your phone. Reason being, again, on that, I'm not going to text them from my CRM is, again, a lot of the carriers will block those things. There's certain words that you use, that Twilio or Plivo, whatever your carrier is, that may block you, right? Where you could say, hey, I'm Elliot at ABC Real Estate. Hey, wanted to give you a quick call about this cash offer that you had requested. Well, because, there's a chance if I send that from my CRM, they may see that as a spam and they'll just block it and not even let it go through, right? Even though you're A2P compliant, all of the things that you're doing, there could be an issue. So that's why I'm going to literally text them from my phone to them so it goes through, okay? And again, I'm not a lot of times going, especially if it's an initial engagement, right? I'm going to use texts like this. Hey, this is Elliot. Hey, wanted to give you I'm going to call them, then text them, right? And so when I send my follow-up text, I'm going to say, hey, this is Elliot at ABC Real Estate. Hey, just wanted to give you a quick message because I was reaching out about a couple of things I thought you might want to know about your property. Just looking for a quick 30 seconds of your time. Give me a call when you get a chance, right? So sometimes I'm going to sprinkle that. Let's say that I get ghosted. Well, I'm going to call them again once there's some more engagement, and then I'm going to text them again. The thing I want everybody to be aware of on this, right, is we're still in this discovery phase, right? There's a request and we need to make contact. I have to be willing a lot of times to reach out to them. Now, for clarity, what I'm about to tell you, the number is 11 times. I have to be willing to reach out to them 11 times, but it doesn't mean that I'm not going to do email, text message, phone call, and even shoot them a message on Facebook, right? Or even Instagram, et cetera, depending on, how they are in my ecosystem. Sometimes those obviously are tough to get through as well. One of the best ways to get through is text message, and then be willing to obviously leave a specific catered message to them on their voicemail. And then from there, we want to ultimately give them items of value, right? So that's where I'm going to let them know, ultimately how or why I want to be following up with them, right? It's not like, that's where a lot of times I think agents go wrong when they're making the initial contact, right? It's just a pester. Or, hey, when do you plan on selling your home? Hey, when do you plan on going and buying your next home? Hey, I'll be doing an open house. Will you come and visit me? Right? Don't get me wrong. Those are all actions that are good, but we need value, right? One of my favorite statements of just the consumer mindshare psychology is when the value exceeds the price, they will buy. So I want us to be thinking about that, and don't think about it in just money, right? Meaning, what value am I bringing? And the cost of them buying is click. The cost of them buying is replying. The cost of them buying is answering the phone, right? What value am I bringing? What curiosity am I bringing that's going to engage them in a conversation? So that's where we have to realize it's those little differences that's really going to help us stand out as a top level agent. Now, that was a lot about the 20%. And again, before we jump and talk about the 80%, I want to just put extra crystal clear on this. The reason why that 20% is so darn important is you got to start somewhere to build your nucleus, right? To build your database bigger. So if you got a database of 50 people, 100 people, 150 people, even 500 people, right? We have to continually build up that contact list so that I get that repeat, I get those referrals, right? And I get all of those at-bats and opportunities. Okay, so now I want us to go through this, right? So as we go through, we're going to talk a little bit now about the actual receive the lead, and we're going to talk about that even from the 80% part, because this is where inside of the dashboard, when we are looking at the different filters, here, let me go ahead and share my screen over a different way. Okay, so what I want us to see here is a couple things. Number one is this notification actually went underneath a lot of construction recently, and it's going to continue to go underneath more technical construction. What that means is there's a lot of activities that we have, myself, Noah, Kayla, have been really working on, that we looked at the consumer's behaviors, who's engaging, from deals that were closed, et cetera, right? There's a lot of things on this where we have a new activity list that's ultimately being unveiled, and it will be out before the end of January. So a lot of this will come with activities inside of your notifications tab, but then also you'll be getting text messages around high intent, right? So like if a lead score goes, above 80, you'll be getting notified if there's certain actions and things that they're doing that are just very high intent that we want to alert you to. So what I'm getting at by doing this is starting off here is you have the ability to filter right here, right? So let's say that I want to come in and talk to my prospects and people that have had conversations with Z, the AI, right? So now you have the client right here, the different times that they've had it, when did that happen, and what does that particular thing look like, right? Who is finalized an offer, or let's go even this one. This would be a good one because we'll probably have who adjusted their value, right? So now this is where, again, maybe lower intent people, but depending on where I'm at in the rungs of the these that I want to look at and my leads to be able to really hit the ground running, these are the people that I'm potentially already in relationship with. I already know them, and this gives me the ability to initiate a call, right? So now I'm staying top of mind, right? By emailing them, I'm giving them something of value they're engaging with. Now I'm going to call them. Right. So let's say it's somebody that's a friend of mine. I haven't talked to them in a couple of months, but yet I see that they've been engaging in their report here. And let's say it's Bob here. Right. So I'm going to call it Bob and just simply say, hey, Bob, it's Elliot. Hey, it's been a minute since we chatted, but hey, the reason for the call is I actually see that you were checking out a couple of things inside the home report where you were adjusting value and whatnot. And the reason I was actually reaching out is I want to make sure that the system had the value right. What did you think about that? Oh, yeah, no, everything was good. We were adjusting that. it was good. Oh, okay, cool. So on that too, just as an FYI, yeah, it's designed to where if you adjust the value, it actually locks inside of the system. Now that was done because if you guys ever remodeled your kitchen, put a pool in the backyard and an increased value, or a neighbor of yours, that was down the road sold for more, you could always adjust it and it locks inside of the system, even though it is, fed by data. Just want to let you know that that's available. Right. So now I started the conversation, on that particular piece. Their response was, "Oh, that's cool. No, I didn't know that." Yeah. Hey, so, again, obviously I'm going to go into conversation. I'm going to, what's new, what's exciting, et cetera. But then from there, I'm going to, ask them, especially if I know how long that they've lived inside, how long they've owned the property. Also, as an FYI, little sidebar, that is another new feature that will be coming out in January, is we're going to start reporting when they purchased the property. Right. So data on that is if they've owned the house 7 years and longer, they are way more likely. Right. Obviously, 5 years and up, we really want to start paying attention. There's a lot of data that shows that that's when people start to get the itch, depending on their lifestyle, et cetera. Of course, people that, again, most people live in their house. The average time right now is about 7 years that they live in their home. So again, if I'm talking to Bob here and I see that Bob, I can, click on Bob real quick here as an example. And then I go into the property details, which is where that's going to be. It'll end up being right here in this particular section. When he bought the property and I see that he bought it 8 years ago or 9 years ago, well, that's exactly certain things that I'm going to start keying on. And I'm maybe going to ask questions like, gosh, Bob, man, I didn't realize it was 8 years ago that we sold you the house. Man, that's wild. Time absolutely flies. Curious, you guys getting the itch yet? Yeah, has Sally started, kicking around, finding a new place? You guys moving up, moving down, right? Whatever that particular need is, then I'm going to be able to use the system to now engage them in the conversation. So there's a lot of different ways on this. Again, I would imagine, especially my experienced agents on here, you guys can see how fast this will go in, and we're going to have to apply the conversation based on on them. But my goal in this is to show you on these frameworks as we're pulling through the process, the system that I'm using to be able to engage them, so that again I'm priming the pump for more seller leads. Okay, so I want to go back in here. Let's see, go back to our flow. Okay, so now on this, right? So now we got them in this particular area. We've got the lead, we got the engagement. We made we made contact right with them at this particular point. We've verified what's going on. Maybe they are in the hunt. Let's say in the situation I talked to Bob that I just gave you, and yeah, it actually turns out Bob is investigating the cash offers because kids graduated and they've lived there for 9 years and they're actually thinking about moving down. Maybe they're going to move out of state. Maybe it's a 2-story house and they want a single story. They're tired of the stairs. Maybe it's a big backyard. He's tired of cutting grass, whatever, right? Like all the things we all know that happen, right? So then from there, this is where I want you guys to realize this is how we speed up transactions, okay? So a huge mistake I see, right, is sometimes we push too much, sometimes we push too little. And I think that's where we need to ask open-ended questions, right? Questions that can't be answered with necessarily a yes or no. Hey, Bob, so let me ask you real quick, if you guys were to get this house sold, where is it that you're planning to go? What have you and Susie been thinking about that you want to move into? Are you guys, after you guys get this house sold, are you guys looking to have a mortgage? Or are you trying to use all of the equity to just pay cash for the property? What does that look like for you guys? Right? Those are the open-ended discovery questions where I'm going to start guiding them on that, because again, I want to get those wheels particularly turning. And even if they say, things like, oh, we haven't really discussed that yet. We're still a good 18 months away and until we do this. You know what? Totally get that. Now, because you guys have been there the last 9 years, remind me, have you done any remodeling or anything like that in the time that you guys have owned the property? Yes, no, maybe so. We painted, managed, whatever else. Hey, something completely new that I want to introduce you to that you guys may not be aware of. And again, this is not forcing the hand or anything. I just want to introduce you to what this is and how it works. We have about 2 years ago, we started working with this cash plus offer that actually allows you to remodel your property. You get paid, the buyer comes in, buys the house, then they will remodel the property. We resell it, and you get all of that additional profit that the rehab would bring. Now, it's really cool stuff. And what I wanted to offer to you on this, because again, it's completely complimentary, is I could show you the frameworks on how that works and potentially how much more money we could get. Now, the reason why I would want you to know that is if we're factoring your equity, right? What kind of money you want to put in your pocket, I want you to make a very informed decision. So why don't I get to work on that? I'll show you how that works. I'll get, kind of just, propose numbers on that. And even though you guys are 18 months away, it'll be something that you're learning about. That way, when you guys get closer, you'll be able to know if this is a route that you want to dive a little bit deeper in. Sound fair enough, right? So that's where I'm going to use that piece, right? And I'm going to operate off of an assumptive action on that. Why don't I? Let me get to work on this for you versus can I do this for you? No, not it right now, right? If I'm just going to say, hey, why don't I just go ahead and do that? I'll get started on this for you completely, no obligation or anything like that, right? So again, I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but I want you guys to really kind of see how I'm going to take that piece and I'm just going to insert that in there. So now let's say I go in there and I give them the frameworks to where it's a house that we remodel the kitchen, maybe the pool in the backyard could use an update as an example or whatever the scenario is. And it ends up really benefiting them to where I'm going to get the wheels going. Now, here's the cool thing, guys. The reason why I want us to really be using this is realize this kind of starts the process. It's moving is a mental thing. So if the husband and the wife start moving, even though they're 18 months out, I show them the frameworks of what it looks like now. Well, guess what they do in the meantime? They go on your IDX site, they go on Zillow, Redfin, and they start searching for homes for sale. Obviously, I'm not going to try to have another agent go to them. I'm going to definitely be getting them on my IDX and searching for a property, whatever else, right? Maybe I do that in the discovery process. Hey, where is it that you guys are planning to go, right? And I'm just let them know what's out there, cost, so they can kind of start mathematically looking at it, right? Depending on who I'm talking about. If it's a woman, obviously, I'm going to sell them the dream. If it's a man, I'm going to sell them the math, right? A lot of times that's typically what the process that you're going to, kind of take from those particular routes. Okay, so now on that, I'm going to show them, now we have the ability to create the PDF offers, the side-by-side comparisons, all of these different things. The whole point that I'm wanting to make here, right, is we're going to take that 18-month person and show them how they can start doing it in a year or less, right? Or even right now. And so this is where I want to just kind of plant that seed, water it. Even though, again, this is going to be a non-pressure situation, I'm going to stick to that 18 months. I'm going to give them the information after I do that. Then from there, I'm going to, ask them what they think, right? I'm going to then make sure that the home report they're engaging with, and that's where I'm really going to really kind of drill down and maybe even get on like a screen share, or maybe I'm going to meet with them do a pop by is when I give them the PDF of the offer, how that breaks down. Then I'm going to scan that offer, right, on my phone, and then I'm going to go through with them and show them the different things on how they can do what they need to do on the home report, how they engage with the equity, how they engage with the rent versus sell. Talk about when's the best time of year, how you can ask Z any question that you want inside of the home report. And this is a tool that we give completely complimentary. Now, the reason why I'm doing that, guys, is because I'm going to show them how it works so that when they get the report, they're more likely to engage with it. I'm going to let them know, hey, this is going to be emailed to you twice a month, and you can plug in and check it out as much as you want. So as you and Susie are going through the decision-making process over the next 18 months, this is a resource for you that is always right here at your fingertips. Let me show you how it works, right? So then I'm going to go through it, because at the end of the day, we all know that we're after that engagement. We all know that the more they're engaging, the longer the length of time that they're looking at the cash offers, the more they're watching the videos on how they work, the more they're having conversations with Z, the more they're looking at the trends in their neighborhood, the more they're watching testimonial videos, et cetera, right? These are all things that are going to be showing signs of they're that 95% to the 5%, and we want to make sure that we seize that opportunity, right? So that's where we have these, this process, this framework that we are going to ultimately pull them through. So I know I'm happy to actually email this out so everybody has this. I know Austin created something similar off of this, and I think he circulated it amongst the community as well. So I think that that is a lot of info today. And, ultimately I want to, see everybody here not only finish the year strong, but hit the ground running in 2026. I also want to take a moment and acknowledge all of you that, are still grinding in 2025. We know that we are waiting for rates to continue to fall. We are waiting for affordability to still, kick in most markets across America. So there's no question that is coming. The writing is absolutely on the wall in 2026. There's a ton of pent-up demand. And I, for one, think the time is now. So what I highly recommend you do is, of course, take your your breath, get your legs underneath you in this holiday season. But I would also encourage you to be working on your business specifically work on your business based on the things that we were just talking about today, right? What are the processes? What are the systems that I can build so that when I do work during this time for my prospecting, lead generating, lead cultivation time, I'm pulling people down and people that are really ready to hit the ground running in January, right? A lot of times that is usually the cycle that we see. We start to see properties hit the market in January, right? We see the market load. January, February, then you start to see pendings usually, showings climb in February, and then pendings, of course, start to climb in March. I think that we're going to see that very, very strong this year. And again, just because with the pressure that we're constantly getting on, I would say that the leadership of the country has right now on interest rates, we're going to continue to see those things fall. We all know that those interest rates for the house interest rates fall below 6. The affordability factor really starts to come back up, and you're going to start seeing a ton more activity when that happens. And I, for one, think that we're probably going to be getting some rates. Wouldn't surprise me if we get all the way down to 5 in 2026, right? So I think that there's a lot of things that we're doing. Again, not to play economist too much here, but just simply there's a lot of money printing that's going on, right? We're now printing about $40 billion a month. And one of the number one ways that they get that money into the economy is they lower the interest rate, they push it, right? So, and that will aid in job growth, aiding in job growth, stimulates everything else, right? And at the end of the day, we have to realize that real estate is one of the massive cornerstones for the American economy, right? It's usually represents 30 to 40%, depending on any given year, money spent, money earned. So, it's super important. They know it. And so long story short, what I'm telling you guys is start putting in the work now, start making those conversations now. At the end of the day, you're going to be getting a lot of people that are going to be really ready to jump in. And if you guys do yourself a favor and get started now, you'll be finding yourself in more and more transactions, right? And it's a simple math equation. So if you just add on 2 more transactions in 2026 that you weren't going to get based on this coaching call, you'll be thanking me then, and you can send me a Christmas card in 2026 and say, thanks, Elliot. I appreciate it. Well, guys, as always, thank you so much. I want to, again, just commend you for being here. Thank you for being on here with me today. I wish you guys all of the best the rest of this year, a happy holiday season, and that you walk into 2026 locked and loaded and ready to crush it. As always, have a good one, and we'll see you on the next one.